folks. Well, this was certainly not something I was expecting. Funny story, I was actually recording my prediction video for the actual Imola Grand Prix because I wasn't really sure what was going to be going down. And lo and behold, the moment I get down from recording from the attic, this then happens. We then get the Imola Grand Prix being cancelled. And just first of all, I personally think it was certainly for the best because I saw a lot of images going back to like Sunday where everything was absolutely flooded. It looked absolutely awful. You remember 2021, the Belgian Grand Prix? It was an utter washout. And this is kind of even worse because Spa-Francorchamps, they're kind of used to this eventuality of there being lots and lots of rain going down. So this is basically something that's going down. So let me read to you what the FIA and Formula One have actually said. This is their official statement. If you're just joining us, first of all, welcome. And I've had a lot of subscribers coming in, so thank you very much for joining me if you have recently subscribed. So let me enlighten you as to what's gone down. So the statement says, the Formula One community wants to send its thoughts to the people and communities affected by the recent events in the Emilia-Romagna region. That's Imola. We also want to pay tribute to the work of the emergency services who are doing everything they can to help those in need, which is not a mean feat. What I've actually seen, it looks terrifying down there. So if you're affected or if you know someone who's affected, just make sure that they're okay, and I hope that you're doing all right as well. Following discussions between Formula One, the president of the FIA, the competent authorities, including the relevant ministers, the president of the Automobile Club of Italy, the president of Emilia-Romagna region, the mayor of the city, and the promoter, so these are the big wigs here, and Qatar Airways, who's one of the major sponsors and the Made in Italy thing, the decision has been taken not to proceed with the Grand Prix weekend at Imola. The decision has been taken because it's not possible to safely hold the event for our fans, the teams, and our personnel. That is an understatement, quite frankly, because from what we saw, the teams couldn't even get in. People were also being evacuated out of the track, however they could, because they really couldn't get anything onto the circuit. There are pictures, I can't really show it here, due to copyright stuff, but I saw pictures of Pirelli and F1 trucks really kind of submerged in water on the track. There is no way that all of that water is going to be drained by Thursday, by tomorrow, because by then you need to have all of the media people in, you need to have everything sorted out. It's just going to be a complete and utter logistical nightmare. I mean, what could they easily have done? Well, we'll talk about that in a moment, but anyway. It is the right and responsible thing to do given the situation faced by the towns and cities in the region. It would not be right to put further pressure on the local authorities and emergency services at this difficult time. Quite right. You don't want to have them being stretched already as it is, and then something goes down at the track where they're needed, and it will just be a logistical nightmare. Stefano Domenicali, president and CEO of Formula One, said, "It's such a tragedy to see what has happened to Imola and Emilia-Romagna, the town and region that I grew up in, and my thoughts and prayers are with the victims of the flooding and the families and communities affected." Thoughts and prayers, I mean, that phrase has just lost all meaning with me, quite frankly. "I want to express my gratitude and admiration for the incredible emergency services who are working tirelessly to help those who need help and alleviate the situation. They are heroes, and the whole of Italy is proud of them. The decision that has been taken is the right one for everyone in the local communities and the F1 family, as we need to ensure safety and not create extra burden for the authorities while they deal with this very awful situation." Too right. FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem said, "My thoughts and those of the entire FIA family are with those affected by the terrible situation in the Emilia-Romagna region. The safety of everyone involved in recovery efforts are the top priority at this time." So, I think that goes without saying, folks. This is something that kinda had to happen. And I'm just looking in the chat here. Pretty much everyone here is agreeing. And I'm doing a poll right now. Do you think the Imola GP should have been cancelled? I've got some votes. 56% of people say yes. So, Formula B says hold boat race. I mean, the McLaren is a bit of a boat, so who knows? McLaren might have won the Grand Prix if it happened. But jokes aside, it really is for the best that this didn't go down. This was something that is just not to be made fun of, in a way. But in a way, I sort of you could, because it's not going to happen. So that means people aren't going to be put at risk. Drivers aren't going to be put at risk. The emergency services won't be stretched out too much. It's just going to be a lot safer. Okay. All right. This is funny. Meow, I guess, says, it's lights out and away we row. God. Oh, I really shouldn't be laughing at this, but hey, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. No one's going to be put in any danger, and everyone's okay. So I just thought I'd get on the blower because obviously we're not going to be having any content this weekend, but ultimately I was talking about this in the video what I was recording, and this isn't really that much of a big loss because realistically, the Imola Grand Prix, it's a nice addition. It's a really, really nice track. It's a classic one, something that goes back decades for good and bad. But really, in terms of overtaking, it would just be absolutely boring because there's only one DRS area, and guess who has a really good DRS package? Yes, Red Bull. It would be a Red Bull 1-2 realistically. I actually thought that my predictions would have been... Oh, it's a little quiet? Okay. No worries. I can easily turn it up. There we go. That should do it. Let me just check my audio volumes. Audio. Turn it up. Yep. Okay, there we go. Just had to turn the gain up a little bit, but hopefully that's a little bit okay. Right. That looks all right. Okay. There. Sweet. Thanks very much, folks. But I actually thought it was going to be a Red Bull 1-2. It was going to be Verstappen, Perez. I think Alonso would have gotten a cheeky third as well. And then I thought maybe Lewis Hamilton might have been fourth because, you know, the Mercedes... I almost said McLaren there for a second. But the Mercedes upgrades, the sheer amount of upgrades they had would hopefully be at least half a second, maybe even more. So I would think that Lewis Hamilton, reinvigorated by what has happened and the upgrades and whatnot, might have had a better time of it and maybe capitalized on the gains that we might have actually seen. So therefore, I thought then maybe he might have had fourth place. And then Charles Leclerc, he's done pretty well at Imola before, so maybe fifth place for Leclerc. But obviously, we're not going to be having that because, well, all of this has happened. Yeah, Supersonic. So much for Merck's B-spec car, huh? Well, yeah. Well, it's a boat spec right now, realistically. And not cancel, but move it in the calendar. So, okay, so given the images, I say it's right to have been cancelled. I mean, I don't think there's really... Yeah, they're not proceed with the Grand Prix at Imola. So, in a way, it's hard to say right now whether Imola will be postponed or will it be cancelled. But realistically, there's no real slot in which to have the Grand Prix. You could maybe have it later on in the year. I'm actually going to take a look at the F1 calendar now. Where could you actually put the Imola Grand Prix? So, yeah, it's not happening now, obviously. But, yeah, okay. So, let's see. Take a look at this. It's going to be very tricky because, well, we've got Monaco and Spain in the next 2 weeks. We've got... Could you last minute maybe put it between Spain and Canada? I mean, there is a 2-week gap there, but I don't really see that happening. There's very little time. I mean, it's 2 weeks. Oof. You probably... The only realistic time I could see this happening is maybe if you put it after Monza. So you have 2 races in Italy. So you just go from Monza, so you go from Milan to San Marino. So therefore, that could work. So you could maybe put it between Spain and Canada, or you put it after Monza, or maybe before Monza. No, before Monza. No, that wouldn't work. That's a triple. No, that's a double header. Netherlands and Italy. So there we got that. So I would say it's either going to be the weekend of the 10th or it's going to be the weekend of the 11th of June. Those are my 2 best guesses, really. You can't really put it anywhere else because otherwise it's just going to throw logistics off completely. Because there are B teams of all the teams and all the logistics are going to different places around the world. And you can't just suddenly change it. This isn't like the Rony Rona times. This is something very, very major to consider. Something very, very major. So you wouldn't want to, throw things off at the last minute. So it makes me think, if they were going to be doing something like this, it would most likely be done at the September point of view. But as Meow says, I guess, just skip it. I think they're just going to have to skip it because the Chinese Grand Prix got skipped. And now the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, it's pretty much, I'd say it's pretty much done. And it's not going to be that much missed based on what we've seen. The one DRS area, and even then the DRS train wouldn't actually be used because DRS wouldn't be activated in wet weather. And the plans for Pirelli have gone now down the sink. And now Mercedes B-Spec is going to have to wait until Monaco. And Monaco's not exactly the best place to try out your upgrades, realistically. It's not a good look. So for Mercedes, this really couldn't have happened at a worse time. This is not something that Mercedes needed right now. This is definitely not what they needed because Monaco, you're going to have a completely different steering rack just to get around the Mirabel. Oh no, Mirabeau. No, not Mirabeau, but the station hairpin. You're going to have to get around that. They have a completely different steering rack for that, which is completely irrelevant to every other single race on the calendar. So this is going to be I don't think Mercedes will even bother taking all of the upgrades to Monaco because they're going to have to because they're going to have to transport everything from San Marino to Monaco now, or if they can get it out of the track. So they're not going to get that much usable data at Monaco, but I could be wrong. But I imagine probably that Imola might have been a better track for them to try and actually get any upgrades idea. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Let's just say that. So, oof. Oh dear. That's not a good look. Tobias Schill, hello from Sweden. So there we got that. Supersonic, slot it before the Dutch Grand Prix. So, oh yeah. No, you couldn't do that necessarily because that is the allotted 4-week period before, but during the shutdown, the summer shutdown. So therefore, it wouldn't really be that conducive. So I think everything is kind of shut down before then. The logistics would be sorted out for that as well. So the only realistic time just to prepare, I would say, would be after Monza. So you'd have one last race in the European region, and you put it in Italy as well. You get 2 Italian races in one go. Back to back, wouldn't be that far, logistically speaking. But I think it's just now going to be just 22 races, as Jake Pierce says. 22 races, that's, that's doable, that's reasonable. But honestly, it's still a lot of logistics because people still had to get there. People are now having to get out. So that's still pretty dangerous. There's a lot of things going on down here. And Rafael, basically the Imola Grand Prix or the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix has now been cancelled. So no race. This is not a raw seek anymore. So we're going to have to wait until Monaco. So Monaco next week will be the next Grand Prix that we will see. But no, unfortunately, there is going to be no Imola Grand Prix. And as far as I'm concerned, that's fine. If one Grand Prix had to be sacrificed, then maybe this one, because the cars are too big for this track. It's a fun circuit if you're doing qualifying or just hot laps. But in terms of doing a race around here, in these cars, yeah, it's not a good look. It really isn't. Yeah, Phenomenon, it's no longer Raw Seek. Nope, not Raw Seek, I'm afraid. Oh dear. But Jake Pierce says back-to-back with Monza would actually be really cool. Yeah, it would be actually pretty cool. But it really requires a lot of planning and logistics for that. But they're not that far away from each other. Tyson Thompson, Mugello. Well, the thing is, though, the race is this weekend. You can't just transport everything to Mugello at the last minute. Because right now, the priority for people is to make sure that their personnel and their equipment are now extracted from the Grand Prix circuit in a safe and timely manner. They've got to take that very carefully and wait for the weather to calm down that they can actually do it safely. So to get from that to then Mugello, okay, Andrew says Mugello after Monza. Well, maybe, but I think right now that's not what they're thinking of. They might come up with some plans later, but right now it's just not going to be that's not the priority at the moment. It's mainly down let's just get people out of there safe and focus on the people who are in danger. So that's the main priority, honestly. I think we can wait. We had a 4-week break between Australia and Baku. I think we can cope with an extra week. 3 weeks, that's fine. That's fine. I can wait. I can wait 3 weeks. Yeah. Supersonic says 2 times double the tears for Ferrari fans because Ferrari will find a way to bottle it. Oof. If they had Mugello. Oh dear. Oh, ouch. Race without fans like during Rona and racing without fans. Well, again, the thing is though, is that you're still going to be losing money and people are at risk. There is a very thin barrier between the river opposite the track and the track itself. That's something that's not debatable. Imola is a very, very tiny circuit and it's amongst houses. It's in a residential area. It's not like it's miles away from everyone else. That river practically has burst its banks and it's now getting closer and closer to the track. And sure, the rain might die down a little bit, but it's just a no-brainer. Just focus on people. Focus on getting them out. Focus on making sure everyone's safe. I think we can survive without a race because I would rather just have people survive, Yeah. All these pauses seem infinite, says Black Paint. Yeah, we've had the most races ever in a championship. Summer break seems to be so close too. Yeah, it actually is because we got Monaco, Spain, Canada, Austria, United Kingdom, Hungary, and then Spa, and then there's the break. So yeah, we got about maybe 10 weeks before the actual summer break, but it does feel very, very close. That is actually kind of crazy. That's bonkers. Yeah, of course, Calchin, we survived 9 months without Formula One. We can survive another extended break. We really could. And yeah, Raphael, you've seen some of the pictures. It's bad. It's really, really bad. I mean, again, I don't really want to put pictures up here because I don't want to get penalized like I did last time. But it's you don't have to look very far. You can look practically on most F1 sites and news about all of the rain that we've seen and could expect. It's pretty bad. So it's pretty bad indeed. So let's just take a look and just see what other people have said. I know that AlphaTauri's had a lot of trouble because Faenza is not that far away. It's not that far away at all. Basically, this is the right call not to race here this weekend. It's just, yeah, it doesn't make any sense because it's just not a good look if you just keep going. And not to mention, there was going to be an F2 race as well. There was going to be F2 here as well. So you got to deal with that as well because at the very least, F2 would have been cancelled. But yeah, it's just effectively rain has stopped play. Rain has stopped play, and thusly, I think that's the right call to do. Julian Garabo says, well, time to watch some IMSA replays. Yeah, I mean, then, of course, there's just the hype getting up before the Indy 500. Is this possibly the first and hopefully the only time an F1 race got cancelled thanks to a flood in the region? Well, I mean, you could say that 2021 Spa was kind of cancelled mid-race, but as far as I can remember, I can't think of any, but there probably has been in the long history of Formula One. But this is certainly a surprise. Certainly not something I would have expected, but honestly, it's for the best. Even if we were to race this, Mick, there would be a high probability that we would get another 20... Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point, Mick. Good point. Supposing that the Grand Prix carried on and people were still going to come down to the region, if they somehow got there, then what? Okay, we would have probably been hanging around for hours, waiting for the rain to die down, checking the conditions of the track with the safety car going in and out. This would have been just a logistical nightmare. People would have been sat out in the rain for hours, and we probably would have got no action. We would have just had everyone parked up in the pit garage, whoever could actually get there, and people would have been complaining about it. People would be complaining about, oh, there's no action. Oh, it's a waste of money. You know, that's what we got at Spa. But just, this is the best thing to do. Just avoid all of that. because there's a good reason why it was cancelled, instead of it just being just a mess logistically. Now this was just the right call to do, because if they'd have waited another day, then it would have been even worse. I mean, realistically, the FIA should have made some kind of statement about this yesterday, at least say we are looking into it. I mean, if they had, then that's fair on me. Shame on me if I got that wrong. But yeah, this is a no-brainer. This is totally obvious. It had to happen, because this was just no way that you could fit a Formula 1 weekend and a Formula 2 weekend when there's practically flooding everywhere in the area. It's just crazy. Yeah, Hugo, that track's going to be destroyed. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of damage, if not to the actual road surface itself, at least all of the stuff around it. You know, the water, it's going to be so waterlogged, it's going to get muddy, it's going to take a long time to fix. Oh, and Formula 3 as well. Oh, of course, yes. Formula 3, don't forget that. All of these different formulae, yeah, it's not just Formula 1 that's been affected. So all of these races have been cancelled. And lighter note, kayak sprint race. Because to be fair, they have a little kind of kayak traditional race at the Canadian Grand Prix. Just break out those canoes, maybe. Yeah, the Canadian Grand Prix. Right, yeah, the paddock's totally flooded. Yeah, I've seen the pictures. They're crazy. They're absolutely bonkers. I had absolutely no idea. I mean, I'm just looking at some of them right now, and it's just like, my goodness, that's just crazy. I can't believe it. The last Formula 3 was in Australia. Yeah, so, Kelchin 10-second penalty. Sorry. I mean, we can have fun with it now, because it's not going to happen. We're not making light of people suffering. It's mainly just down to the fact that it's not happening. Good. I'm glad that it hasn't. And, yeah, race using hovercrafts. Come on, let's get them in. I hope people get their refunds, or to at least use it as a relief fund. I'm pretty sure that something's going to happen like that, because as we've seen with that statement, it definitely does say that they have talked to the promoter. So they've talked to the relevant bodies and all of the people that are actually involved in running the Grand Prix. That's including Qatar Airways, so I think it's one of the big sponsors, and the areas of the region. There will be compensation, not to mention a nice little thing called insurance, because it does rain quite a lot in that area. We remember 2021, it was rainy then. Last year it was rainy too. I'm pretty sure that there is weather-based insurance to make sure that people would be compensated in the right way and that people would be all right. So I think there is, good reason to not be worried. People will get their refunds, because after what happened at Spa, I think it goes without saying. And people will be a little bit more patient about it, because at least they won't have travelled to the track and been sat around for several hours in the rain. They will be a little bit more accommodating with that. Or that maybe they might get preferential selections for 2024 if it comes back. Any chance it could be rescheduled? There could be. There could be a chance to be rescheduled. Like we've talked about earlier, probably the best option is around the time of Monza. After Monza, most likely, because you're practically just down the road. So it's pretty likely you could easily get something done. The insurance must be pretty expensive. Oh yeah, you telling me. That's gonna be a doozy to fix. Oh boy. Yeah, I think people who vote no, or they wanted the race to carry on. I mean, I was a little bit disappointed when this broke, but I think it's just a gut reaction. Yeah, we don't want this to be cancelled. We want a race, but we then got to step back and just go well, wait a minute. I want people to be safe as well. So this is just a no-brainer. It's a foregone conclusion. Ain't happening. And I'm glad that it's not happening, because people might have a chance to be safe and not put themselves in jeopardy. And it means that the emergency services can actually go and do their job. So there you go. KLX says cancelled or postponed. I think most likely it's going to be cancelled, but at the moment it's up in the air. They're basically saying they're not going to proceed with it. So it's not happening right now, but I think realistically it will be cancelled, because where else can you put it? There's only a couple of other places on the calendar where you could, and then you just got to get everything sorted out again. It's going to take a long time to kind of break away from what you've been seeing and trying to figure out all of the mess and pay the relevant people and all that stuff. Then you got to try and figure out whether you do it all over again or you just cut your losses and then just try again next year. Most likely they'll just cut their losses and try again next year, because trying to do all of this again, because this could easily happen again. You might see more flooding and all that stuff. So I think for this year, I think it's just a foregone conclusion. It ain't happening. It ain't happening at all. If you're just joining us, by the way, the Imola Grand Prix has unfortunately been called off. So it's not happening this weekend. Whether it's been cancelled or postponed, it's still a little bit up in the air, but most likely it will be cancelled because the very, very packed race schedule that we got for this year is very, very crammed. It'd be very difficult to try and get another race down, but who knows? Could easily happen, but right now it's looking like Monaco is going to be the thing we're going to be focusing on. So a track that could give us some interesting scenes, maybe, but yeah. Hadek says, you live near Imola, but floods are happening in all of the region. Well, yeah, well, needless to say, this sounds like an absolutely massive flooding area. This sounds like crazy. So I hope you're all right. I hope you're just somewhere safe. You're at home. You're okay. So our thoughts are out to you, Hadek. Yeah, Catfish. I'm glad that they're getting ahead of it this time. Yeah, absolutely. Because I think they've learned from Spa in 2021 that you can't possibly try. Because at least with Spa-Francorchamps and that region, rain like that is common. They are sort of prepared for it. They can make it sort of work. They have the right facilities and the logistics in which to do so. Imola doesn't really have that. They are in a residential area, and they don't really have the manpower in which to try and fend it off. There's a big river right next to the track. It's not like Spa, which is on a massive hill where it can drain away. This is a completely different circumstances. So it's for the best that they called it off right now. If they'd waited another day, if they'd have called it off on Thursday, I think people would have been a lot more annoyed than they are now. This just makes perfect sense, honestly. Loey says, let's see if Checo's going to spin on purpose again in Monaco. That's never been proved. It's never been proved, but, well, Monaco is the next race, and I don't really see that happening. Am I going to watch the Indy 500? Maybe. I might give it a look. I don't know whether I'll cover it on the channel or not, because I really know next to nothing about Indy. But I might get into it. But I might at least just give it a look. Yeah, if I've got nothing else to going. 9 minutes into Thursday here. Oh, wow. So you're down in Australia. So you're 9 minutes into Thursday. Oh, because okay. If they left it to Thursday here, or technically your Friday, Raf. So, I know, I see what you mean. Gotta go. Thanks for covering breaking news. Best of luck on your growth curve. Oh, thanks, Giles. Yeah, thanks very much. So, yeah, so basically, I think we'll just count our lucky stars that we're gonna get some things. Adam Bradfield goes, Nick De Vries gets another race in Formula One. Hey! And that is kind of a point. Hey, he can't crash this time. I know. I don't want to make fun of the guy, but it's kind of true. His track record at the moment has been a little bit iffy, to say the least. It's not a good look for him. No. Ashwin Kanat says, your opinion on spec F1 cars. Well, I feel like it has some legs to it, but I think it kind of misses some of the spec of being at the pinnacle of the sport. But I think right now it's up in the air, quite frankly. But yeah. So, but man, Nick De Vries, just my goodness me, that was absolutely crazy. Just that he's in that situation right now. I could make an entire video about that, but I think I'm just kind of weary. Professor Hitch, this is the first race in F1 history to be cancelled because of the weather. Actually, let's have a look. F1 race cancelled due to weather. So, okay, they say that's been cancelled. And history. Okay, so basically, so the Goodwood website, I'm having a look at this. So there is the 90, there's a similar one. So, okay. The 1991 Australian Grand Prix. As the final race of the 91 Formula 1 season, the Australian Grand Prix in Adelaide wasn't cancelled outright, but heavy rain made it the shortest race in F1 history. With the newly crowned world champion Ayrton Senna starting from pole position, a number of cars crashed out, littering the southern circuit with debris. Even the championship's runner-up Nigel Mansell hit the wall whilst in second place, immediately retiring the car. Well, to be fair, when did this article come out? Oh, 2019. No, that's been superseded now by Belgium. Belgium was been the shortest race. So, no, that's irrelevant now. Okay. But, yeah, I don't think there has been a race that's been outright cancelled. So I think this is a first. Yeah, 1991. Previously, now it's 2021 because of Spa. We got like 2 laps and most of those were behind a safety car. Yet, Aston got a week to make the AMR23 faster. Well, I think they had some upgrades planned, but they changed their upgrading system. They're just going to be doing little and often, all that stuff. So, that's what they're going to be doing. But right now, I kind of see them just doing it at a very slow and steady pace. That's for sure. Alonso has a few extra days with Taylor Swift. Well, actually, I think that's been disproven. But now, Davin, it looks like Lewis Hamilton and Shakira. So, we've got that potentially happening. Yeah. Do you think Formula 1 will be more fun if there's proximity chat between the drivers? I think you've seen P1, Matty, and Tom's video about that. So, I see what you're doing there. Oh, yeah, the poll is at number 69. Oh, no, it died. Oh, no, it's 68. Oh, well. But, yeah, no, Shakira. Apparently, Lewis Hamilton and Shakira have been seen with each other around Miami, and he was a guest at Shakira's house. Well, Shakira's mansion. So, that was absolutely bonkers. But, don't know, nothing's been proven. But, yeah, it happened. It was a thing. Best F1 pink livery? Well, I suppose the first Force India BWT livery? That was quite a classic. But, let's just roll things back. So, realistically, we're just going to say the Imola Grand Prix has been cancelled. Everyone's okay. Things are being resolved. And that's pretty much the long and the short of it. So, thank you all very much for joining me right now. I shall come up with some content very, very soon. But if you've just joined us and subscribed to the channel, thank you very much for doing so. And I'll be putting this up as an archive so people can catch up with all of this. So, until next time, we shall see you around. Stay safe, everyone. And I guess we'll go to Monaco.